much, elets, for inviting me for this wonderful gathering. Honorable representatives of the people, honorable administrators, and the industry, which is going to make all of this happen. Thank you very much for being here. Anand, thanks for stealing the thunder. Actually, I quite like a drizzle instead. A constant drizzle is a lot more pleasurable. But nevertheless, I devote a few minutes to doing what I believe needs to be done, which is to literally drum up some kind of a storm about the idea of smart cities, because I believe this is a game-changing idea. This is a paradigm shift. It's not, as Mr. Vincent Lim said, it's not merely the application of IT to doing things. It's a completely different worldview. And I, for one, am championing this in every way possible. I think since a lot has already been said about the potential, the applications, and so on about the smart city concept, I want to just spend a few minutes describing what is at stake here and what can be achieved. Of course, one might be forced to ask the question, if technology is going to take care of all these functions and services, what are we going to do? Especially at a time when you're not allowed to play golf. So it might be wonderful if we actually get down to seeing just how profound the possibilities are in this concept. As Vincent said, this is not only about IT, this is really about an application of mind, about the application of governance mechanisms to deliver something. And what is that something? I want to refer very briefly to a professor of New York University, Mr. Benjamin Barber, who is devoting all his time to selling the idea, what he has used as the title of his book, If Mayors Ruled the World. What would happen? Professor Barber is working on a realization that we all had, that cities are what is going to make the future. Cities are where economies are concentrated, cities are where wealth is being generated. Cities are increasingly going to be the entities that actually compete across national boundaries. So it's not going to be national boundaries which will define economies, but cities that will define economies. And I think this is a very compelling argument, and it in a sense creates the base for us to move forward, to really understand that putting stakes in cities is putting stakes in a commonwealth, into a population. They don't necessarily need to reside in cities, but they have stake in cities, and this is an important thing for us to appreciate. Another very important thing to understand, of course, is that a lot of the models that are being used as references in case studies presently in the whole discourse about smart cities are models that belong to what the Europeans have called a sort of beyond growth model. So, this is an idea that was put forward in the European Commission by the Austrian government, and it is a very important idea because European countries are looking at a scenario beyond growth. They've achieved their goals. Smart cities in a growing economy have to be something very different. Smart cities in a growing economy are not going to be simply about managing public assets, making them more accessible, making them more equitable, but actually delivering them in a faster way, because climate change is not leaving us with the kind of luxury that we might have enjoyed over the last so many decades, thinking that we can let our cities languish. So Benjamin Barber's argument about the fact that cities and the people who head cities, whoever they may be, of course, the mayor is perhaps our answer to this. In other countries, there are other answers, but by and large, it's the idea of leadership which takes decisions and is decisive and determined. Having said this, I think it's important for us to understand that the smart thing to do today is not to look at the idea of 100 smart cities as a scheme or as a program or as something in itself, make it into a silo of production. Rather to see just how interestingly fleshed out is the overall urban strategy. So we have to see 100 smart cities along with the idea of urbanization, which Mr. Ramesh talked about. about, along with the idea of total sanitation, along with the idea of total power supply and heritage conservation and the development of tourism circuits and the development of pilgrimage circuits. These are all concomitants. These are not removed from 100 smart cities, nor should they be seen as being adjuncts. However, they are all goals that will be achieved by the smart city movement as such. We must keep in mind that 100 is a target. We should achieve much more than that. Simply the multiplying factor of what we will do. I imagine a state government is not going to restrict themselves to 3 smart cities in their state, but we'll see how to multiply that across the state. So we have, as I said, the opportunity to have a profound impact on the future of this country. Last few words about what needs to be appreciated is that all of this works on the basis of developing a strong element of trust between government and the public. That is fundamental. If that trust is not cultivated, is not nurtured, that trust will become, or the lack of that trust will become a barrier, will become a hurdle, will become a roadblock, and so on. So it's really important. Mr. Ravi Gupta in the beginning said the stakeholders, they're all here. You forgot to mention the public. The public is an enormous element in this, which we cannot afford to neglect. The public is the biggest stakeholder in this, because the smart city will leverage the power of the collective of the public that lives in our cities and in our countryside, will leverage that to achieve goals which we could not possibly achieve in the present kind of scenario where there is a great amount of distrust between the public and government. So smart cities will restore trust, and the elements that come, the concomitants that come with e-governance, is transparency, with efficiency will come a certain high level of accountability and the ability to deliver. All of this is working towards developing that basic glue that binds the democratic kind of polity. So, just a few emotional points here at the end. A reporter asked me from Dainik Bhaskar asked me the other day, so what's the big deal? How will my life change with smart cities? I said, well, what you should expect is that in a smart city there will be zero loss of life, to the extent possible. Barring mortality, you will not lose lives because of accidents, you will not lose lives because of brainless, mindless violence on the streets, and so on and so forth. The smart city must deliver that. The smart city should deliver no loss of life because somebody couldn't get into an ambulance and get to a hospital on time. Somebody dying on the road in an ambulance on the way to a hospital, that should never happen in this country. So these are important things. The smart city will ensure that my elderly parents and the women and the disabled and everybody is taken care of and is able to get to their place of work, is able to get to their place of study on time, so they can actually have some recreational time, so they can enhance their quality of life. So I think it was really important to mention, as the earlier speakers mentioned, that transportation is simply, it's an enabler. I'm glad that the government did announce a transportation mission, because to talk of a smart city without mobility is anathema. You cannot talk about it that way. So we need to ensure that our cities become the enablers of prosperity, of collective wealth, and can tap into this immense creative genius that for 60 years at least has flowed out of this country to other countries and has made other countries richer. So I believe we all need to, and I would like to make sure that there is a thunderstorm about this, that we all need to buy into this smart city vision and really make it happen.